This video is brought to you by Squarespace. What is up, guys? Well, now that we have finally finished talking about all the films of 2024, and if you want to catch up on all of my end of the year rankings, I'll put a playlist up here, my best of the year, worst of the year, most surprising, most disappointing, and the gigantic ranking of all 130 films that I saw in 2024. Now it's time to look forward to the year that we're currently in, 2025. And today we're talking about my top 10 most anticipated films of this coming year. Now, I do have 5 honorable mentions of movies that certainly seem cool, could go either way, but my top 10 are movies that I'm very excited for. So, without wasting any time whatsoever, let's just go ahead and talk about some of these honorable mentions. And kicking that off is going to be Saw 11. And the only reason that this is not a part of my top 10 is because I don't have a whole lot of confidence this is actually going to come out this year. I'm actually really surprised at a lot of the delays and whatever kind of issues they've been having getting this movie off of the ground. I'm not sure if it's the unexpected amount of praise that they got and amount of success they got with Saw X, and they just weren't prepared to follow it up with another film. I don't know if there's just disagreements with the direction to take things, but this is a film that was supposed to come out last year and was then delayed to this year, and there still hasn't really been a whole lot of updates as far as progress on when it's going to shoot, when it's going to go into production. So I'm excited for this because I really enjoyed Saw X. I've been kind of a casual at best Saw fan for a long time, but Saw X really rejuvenated this franchise for me. It was easily my favorite of the franchise. So no matter what direction that they go, as long as it's following up the storyline of Saw X, I should be pretty excited when we actually have a hard date of when this is going to come out. Another one is Predator Badlands. I think we actually have 2 Predator films that are in production. I don't know if they're both coming out this year, but Badlands is the one that's directed by Dan Trachtenberg, and the rumor out there is that it's actually going to be following the perspective of the Predator, which is pretty awesome. So I don't know a whole lot about it enough to get super excited for it, but I really enjoyed Prey. I enjoy the Predator franchise when it's on, and hopefully this will be another hit. Next, we have Wake Up Dead Man, which is the 3rd Knives Out movie. I really enjoyed Knives Out. I really enjoyed Glass Onion. I have no idea who's starring in this one or what the story is going to be, but they got me hooked on this franchise, so really looking forward to that one. Then you have a film that I was actually just familiarized with this morning, and that is The Gorge. This is a new film by Scott Derrickson, and you will see his name pop up again on my top 10. And you have Miles Teller and you have Anya Taylor-Joy. They're both at opposite ends of this gorge. They are snipers that are supposed to be taking watch for like a full year, and they're not allowed to communicate with each other. And the gorge that they are actually looking after, that they are guarding, is apparently the gate to hell. So all you gotta do is tell me that premise and I'm there. The only thing that worries me about this is that it's an Apple TV movie. It's an Apple exclusive. And I don't have the best relationship with streaming exclusives. Doesn't mean this is going to suck. Just if it was coming to theaters, I'd have a lot more faith in it. So we'll see. And then the last honorable mention is going to be Ballerina. This is the John Wick spinoff starring Ana de Armas. I really enjoy the John Wick movies. I really like Ana de Armas as a performer. The trailer looked like it's very much in the spirit of John Wick, so can't help but get a little excited for it. And now kicking off my actual top 10, and we're going to talk about The Running Man first. This is a new adaptation of the Stephen King novel. We last saw this with the Arnold Schwarzenegger film, which admittedly I've never really been that big of a fan of. As much as I love Arnie, it was never one of my favorites. So that's part of the reason why I'm excited for this, is seeing that very cool storyline that we've seen different variations of, certainly since that movie, seeing it done differently. But you got Glenn Powell, who has taken the lead role, who I've become a really big fan of, and it's going to be directed by Edgar Wright, which, as much as Edgar Wright's films don't always hit for me, I think the only one that I genuinely love is Baby Driver. He's a guy that no matter what he does, I am always interested. I am always there day one. So him taking a Stephen King novel with Glenn Powell as the lead, I can't wait to see what he does with this. I feel like his style is going to bring a really wild adaptation. So this one sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that one quite a bit. Coming in at number 9 is going to be The Accountant 2. Now, I reviewed the first one way back in the early days. Might have been the first year that I was on YouTube, in fact. And it's basically Ben Affleck's answer to the Bourne Identity series by his buddy Matt Damon, where he's got a character who, I believe he has some kind of autism where it makes him like hyper fixate on certain details, and he's really good at math, but he's also been trained and conditioned to be like a total badass super assassin kind of guy. So the first film was a lot of fun, great action sequences. I liked the role of Ben Affleck doing this, and I liked all the side characters as well. Had a few too many twists by the end of it, but now that we've got those twists out of the way, I'm curious to see what they can do with more of a straightforward story without having to have all those reveals by the end of it. So this has been like a long delayed, long gestating sequel that never really felt like it was actually going to come to fruition, and it's coming this year, so I'm ready for it. Now, really quick before we carry on, if you want to kick off the new year by jump-starting your success online, let's talk about the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. Whether you're a content creator, an entrepreneur, or just somebody who wants to share their hobby with the world, having your own website is absolutely crucial. But when it comes to actually building a website, even somebody like me who has extensive computer knowledge and experience, I wouldn't even know the first place to start. Well, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for entrepreneurs and creatives to stand out and succeed online. Squarespace's new design intelligence empowers anybody to create a beautiful, personalized website that is tailored to your needs. With their Blueprint AI, you can answer a few questions about your brand and have a fully custom template to interact with and fine-tune to perfection. They even allow you to easily monetize and sell your content, such as blogs, online courses, or videos. And by using Squarespace Payments, you can manage all of your payments in one easy-to-use place and even give your customers access to all of their favorite ways to pay, such as Klarna, Apple Pay, or ACH direct deposit. So if you're ready to kickstart your online presence, head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Cody Leach to save 10% off of your first purchase of a website or domain using the code Cody Leach. And thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Number 8 is a movie called Death of a Unicorn. Now, this is not a film that I had ever heard of. I didn't know that this was coming out this year. I didn't even know that Paul Rudd or Jenna Ortega or anybody was working with A24 on something. The trailer just dropped. I heard a lot of people giving buzz about it, and so I watched part of the trailer. Very rarely do I watch the entire trailer nowadays. If I'm sold, I just stop. And all I saw about this just made me totally invested in it, where they have Paul Rudd, Jenna Ortega, who I guess is like father and daughter, and they run over this horse, and it turns out to be a unicorn, and then all these people are coming in to try to test it, and the mom and dad unicorn come to like put a siege on the house. It looks like an absolute bizarre, wacky, and hopefully hilarious horror comedy. A lot of really good jokes that landed just in the trailer itself. I love Paul Rudd, big fan of Jenna Ortega, so this one seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. And after a number of really good comedy experiences I had last year, I'm hoping we get a few more this year, and maybe one of them will be Death of a Unicorn. Coming in at number 7, we're talking yet again about Scott Derrickson, and this is The Black Phone 2. Now, I was a huge fan of the first Black Phone. I think that that is my favorite Scott Derrickson movie so far. And while I don't really know where they're going to go with this movie, I don't know if it's a sequel, I don't know if it's a prequel, I don't know how they're going to continue this storyline, because it was very much an isolated one-and-done type story. I'm fascinated to find out. I just hope this isn't going to be one of those situations where the success of a movie mandated a sequel when there actually wasn't a very big idea or a very successful idea to make that, like Sinister 2. So Black Phone 2, for what I know, Ethan Hawke and the other people are coming back as well. So a gigantic mystery what this is going to be. But if it's as good as Black Phone, I will be very happy. Moving on to number 6, we have the latest Ryan Coogler film, which is called Sinners. Now, I am hearing that this movie is supposed to be about vampires. If it is not about vampires, we can pick this a little bit further down the list. But you guys know I'm a big vampire movie fan, and my favorite film of last year was a vampire film. I had 2 in my top 10, actually, which was pretty awesome. But the trailer looked intriguing for sure. First of all, Ryan Coogler is just a great filmmaker. I've enjoyed every movie I've seen from him. Creed especially is one of my favorites of all time. And him doing a movie like this, going more in the horror route, teaming up yet again with Michael B. Jordan, who I also am a big fan of, and he's doing 2 roles here. He's playing brothers. So all that really intrigues me. But just seeing Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan team up to do a vampire flick, if that's in fact what this ends up being, hell yes, give it to me right now. And something that was actually kind of funny, I was in New Orleans for the Overlook Film Festival whenever Ryan Coogler was shooting this movie, and he showed up for the premiere of Abigail. So that kind of gives me a little bit of like the planets are aligning faith that this is an actual vampire film, but I got a chance to meet him very briefly and take a picture of him. I should have just like leaned over and asked him like, hey man, is this movie you're shooting a vampire film? Tell me. Tell me. Coming in at number 5, we have James Gunn's Superman. Now, this one is very complicated. This one is this high just because I think this is possibly the most important comic book movie release that we have had in a very long time. The success and the future of the DCU very much is going to hinge on whether or not this is a hit or not. And I don't think that that's overselling it whatsoever. You know, we had the DCEU blunder. Now they have the reboot. You have a lot of people who are the Zack Snyder bros that want this to fail. You have all of us that are DC fans and fans of these characters going, please just give us a universe that makes sense and works and a cohesive vision. And it all is going to hinge on how well this launch goes. Now, the trailer I did enjoy. I didn't do a reaction to it like everybody else did, but I liked what I saw for the most part. The complicated part with it for me is that I've never really been a big Superman fan until Man of Steel. I've always just gravitated more to the darker characters. So Man of Steel very much was the first time that I kind of got Superman, and it was a Superman that I could really understand and appreciate. This is very much getting away from that, going back to the more hopeful, the more Christopher Reeve style of Superman, which I don't have too much experience with. So I don't know if I'm going to love that or it's going to be something that I'm just always going to be a Man of Steel guy. But the trailer looked good. I have faith in James Gunn. I like all the casting that we've got so far for this movie. Certainly some things give me pause. Like, I don't know how Crypto is going to be. I don't know about all these other characters like Hawk Girl and, Green Lantern, everybody already being there. I don't know how that's going to work in the movie. Is it going to be overstuffed? I don't know. But I have faith in James Gunn. I have a lot of hope for this movie. And so it's certainly going to be one that I'm going to be really highly anticipating the closer we get to its release. Coming in at number 4 is one that I don't really have to wait that long to check out, and it's going to be Leigh Whannell's Wolfman. I love vampire films. I also am a big fan of werewolf films. We haven't gotten near as many awesome classic werewolf films as we have vampire flicks, and if anybody's going to deliver one, I have faith that Leigh Whannell is going to be that guy. Now, I have not watched the trailer for this film. I heard that it was a little spoilery, and I don't really like to watch Blumhouse trailers, if anybody's trailers anymore. So I'm walking into this one as blind as possible. All that I have heard about it, which actually really intrigues me, is that the approach they're taking to this is somewhat in the vein of David Cronenberg's The Fly, where the wolf disease or whatever you want to call it, it's not going to be your typical guy transforms into a werewolf when the moon comes out. It's going to be more like this sickness is just taking over this guy's body and slowly turning him into a wolf, which is a big swing and definitely could fail miserably, but sounds cool and unique enough that I think they're going to pull it off. So have all the hope in the world for it. We'll find out here in 2 weeks? Not very long. Coming in at number 3, we have Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which I'm assuming means this is going to be the final Mission Impossible film, at least starring Tom Cruise. I don't know if they're going to spin it off. I don't know if eventually they'll reboot it, or I don't know if Tom Cruise will say, you know what, fuck it, I'm doing another one in about 5 years. But this is the culmination and the payoff for everything that we saw in Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, which was certainly one of my favorites of 2 years ago. Mission Impossible movies always deliver. There's none of these movies that I think are bad. Even the second one, I get a lot of entertainment value out of. And for the most part, since the third film, they have only gotten better. So I have no reason in the world to doubt Tom Cruise or to doubt Christopher McQuarrie when it comes to the Mission Impossible franchise. The trailer certainly looked exciting. Don't know much about the plot, but I don't really care. I know it's going to be awesome, and I will be there day one. Coming in at number 2 is a sequel to my favorite film from 3 or 4 years ago, and that's Nobody 2. For as much as I like the John Wick movies, something about Nobody just appealed to me even more. Maybe it's because I'm a Breaking Bad whore, and you got Bob Odenkirk in here kicking everybody's ass, but I just absolutely loved what that first Nobody did. It gave me Christopher Lloyd taking bitches out with a shotgun. I didn't even know I needed that in my life, but I'm glad that I have it. So I don't know what the story is here, and I don't care. If it's more of what we got in that first film, that's all that I need. I really enjoy seeing Bob Odenkirk take on a role like that, and it dedicated himself to the getting in shape and the fight choreography and everything. I loved the action sequences in it, and especially if Christopher Lloyd's coming back, which I'm sure he is. Maybe he'll get an expanded role in this. I loved the first one. I really hope that I'm going to love this second one. Coming in at number 1 is a movie that I feel like I've been waiting for 28 years, and it's 28 years later. I'm a huge fan of 28 Days Later, and an even bigger fan of 28 Weeks Later. I know that's kind of a hot take, but I really love that sequel, and this feels like a movie that has been, where the hell is it? what are we waiting for like the last 15, 20 years or so? Like how well regarded those first two films are, with how successful they are. It's always been puzzling why we never got what I would have assumed would have been 28 months later. But now it's here. And the fact that we got the same creative crew back again with Danny Boyle, and you got Cillian Murphy in here to some degree. Supposedly, this is going to be like the first of a trilogy, and Cillian Murphy is going to be a very significant role in the second film. All of that tells me that they have a plan, that they have been using the years between the last one and this one to figure out how to expand on this franchise, what to do next. I thought that the trailer was fantastic. And so this is a movie that I just have all the faith in the world is going to be a giant shot in the arm for the horror genre. You know, we got the zombie genre that was very oversaturated for a very long time with TV shows and movies, and it feels like that's been calmed down over the last couple of years. So it's time for 28 years to come back and reclaim its throne in the zombie genre, even though technically for some people these aren't zombie movies, they're infected, they're not zombies. Shut the fuck up, they're zombies. But yeah, this is a movie that I've been waiting for a very long time. It's finally here, and everything that I'm seeing just gives me nothing but excitement and nothing but faith that it's going to absolutely kick ass. So 28 years later, my most anticipated film that I know of so far for 2025. Well, that's it for this one, guys. Be sure to check out Squarespace in the video description below. If you enjoy these end of the year rankings, click this playlist up here for all of the other rankings that I've done. Best, worst, most surprising, most disappointing, all that good stuff. Like, share, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss everything in the future, including my reviews of hopefully all of these films. And as always, remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean you have to be.